Good afternoon. Welcome to our 2021 Women's Business Symposium. The day has arrived and we are so excited. My name is Mayra Pineda and I have the privilege to serve as the President and CEO of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana. This year's theme, Choose to Challenge, reminds us of the importance of individually lifting other women, engaging with other women, bringing women topics and issues to the forefront, and definitely supporting each other. Events like this would not be possible without our sponsors, our generous sponsors, and today we have our presenting sponsors here with us. Fidelity Power, Ms. Vanessa Sierra here with us, and Ms. Fela Myers, President and CEO of Webex South. So Vanessa, you want to tell us a little bit about Fidelity Power?
I would love to. Fidelity is very honored to be a sponsor today. We are actually a local community bank. We were established in 1908 based on our core values of integrity, excellence, accountability, dependability, and especially community. One of the biggest programs that have been very impactful in our community has been our POWER program. Our POWER program stands for Potential of Women Entrepreneurs Realized. It's especially designed for women business owners to help them either establish their new businesses or help them even reach the next level of already competing companies that they have out there. We do that with offering membership directories so that there are networking events. We have special power loans and products in place for these members. And we even offer free checking and banking for our women business owners. We find it very exciting. It is always exciting to get those new power members involved and becoming a part of the Fidelity community. And once again, thank you so much for having us here and letting us be a sponsor.
Thank you, Vanessa. It's always a pleasure working with Fidelity Bank. Power is an amazing program. Fela, tell us about this beautiful space we have here today and especially the important work that Webex South does throughout the region and why it's so important that we collaborate.
Oh, absolutely. And first, thank you. Thank you for being here. We couldn't think of a more fitting event to hold here at our Women's Business Collective, the WB Collective. This is our first opportunity to really unveil our co-working space to the women's business world, and so we just want to let everybody know that you are welcome here. This is a environment. I appreciated what you said about lifting other women up and being supportive. This is a space that is exactly geared for that. We are a space where women can come and work, where they can work together, they can mentor each other, they can feed off of each other, they can share best practices and a lot of their struggles. But any woman in business is welcome to come here to the WB Collective and join our community. And then we also want to be a host for events like this. So we're so happy right now that you all are here, and I hope you have a great event today.
Thank you very much. And of course, missing today with us is Atmos Energy, but we thank them and all of our other sponsors that have generously contributed to this event. And now it's my pleasure because we're here for an engaging and inspiring program. So I'd like to introduce the moderator of our Pearls of Wisdom panel, Ms. Blanca Robinson, President and CEO of Viva Consulting Group, and who will be moderating our panel today.
Includes 3 incredible powerhouses that have a lot of wonderful information to share with you. So let me get started with a brief bio for each one. Kara Lambright serves as CEO of New Orleans City Park Improvement Association, a 150-year-old organization overseeing one of the largest urban parks in the nation. Kara specializes in operations, capital planning, program development, public engagement, and fundraising for public spaces. Prior to assuming her current position, she served as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Memorial Park Conservancy, dramatically overhauling the organization while managing operations and maintenance, programming, finance, and fundraising. She also created a sustainable financial model, including negotiating a 30-year operating agreement with the City of Houston, quadrupling the park's annual operating budget, and worked to raise over $200 million for capital improvements. She is deeply involved in the field of urban parks, from consulting startup conservancies to leading regional workshops. She is a graduate from the London School of Economics, certified in urban park executive leadership, certified in nonprofit accounting, and is proud to be a senior fellow of the American Leadership Forum and a tribal member of the Chickasaw Indian Nation. Jennifer Garcia is the interim CEO at Latino Business Action Network, whose mission is to strengthen the U.S. by empowering Latino business owners to scale. She oversaw 4 successful cohorts of the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative Education Scaling Program, empowering nearly 300 Latino and Latina entrepreneurs to complete this prestigious program, significantly developing the national ecosystem of scaled Latino and Latina businesses across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. Prior to LMAN, Jennifer spent 12 years at Bloomberg LP. Throughout the years, she has illustrated distinguished passion and service to the Latino community. She participated in the inaugural class of the Hispanic Foundation of Silicon Valley Latino Board Leadership Academy, with the mission of recruiting and training Latinos to serve as potential board members. She received her MBA from the University of San Francisco and her BS from Colorado State University. Our third panelist has numerous accolades as well. President of the Hispanic National Bar Association, recognized by Best Lawyers since 2018, Best Lawyers Women in Law editions, a 2019 Lawyers of Color's Nation's Best Honoree, just to name a few. These are honors that recognize her as a leader in law and in the advancement of diversity and advocacy. Elia Diaz-Yeager is a shareholder in Lugan Bull's insurance law section. Her primary areas of practice include industrial employment, long latency lung disease litigation, insurance defense and coverage, environmental law, commercial litigation, and board governance, cybersecurity. Her experience enables her to provide clients with an early strategic plan, vigorous defense, and efficient litigation. Certified in cybersecurity litigation, she trains clients on protecting themselves regarding the ever-growing risk of data breaches. Elia actively promotes diversity and inclusion of women and Hispanics in legal professions through various professional organizations. She is a long-standing member of the Hispanic National Bar Association, a member of the International Association of Defense Counsel, Defense Research Institute, ABA, and Louisiana Bar Association. In addition to her professional pursuits, she serves as Secretary of the Board of Directors for OnPath Federal Credit Union, whose mission is to strengthen the financial health of the underserved communities through financial service and education. So, ladies, this year, 2020, was indeed a year that will be emblazoned in everybody's mind as a year of immense challenges, to say the least. Coupled with the challenges of having to conduct a lot of business virtually and being isolated in some cases, a lot of businesses, organizations, and entrepreneurs had to pivot significantly in order to sustain themselves. So let me start with Kara. What effect did the pandemic have on City Park that most people within the greater New Orleans area are probably not even aware of?
Well, thank you, Blanca. I first want to say how honored I am to be here and to have such esteemed panelists alongside me. So thank you, and thank you for giving me a chance to talk about the park and the pandemic. The park has a very unique operating model compared to other urban parks across the United States, especially signature parks, a park of this size. And so many signature parks are actually fully supported by taxpayer dollars, and City Park is unique and that 90% of our income actually comes from revenue earned on site. So critical attractions such as amusements or City Putt or the weddings that you see hosted actually help to pay for our costs for 1,100 acres of green space, right? That doesn't earn any type of income. So when the pandemic came in and we had to halt all of these revenue sources, what we learned is a model that's based on 90% dependency on any revenue type is just not sustainable. So I think as we begin to move forward, we're really looking at how to diversify our income sources. If the pandemic taught any of us anything, is that we can think we can predict the future, and we can think that we can plan for disasters or disturbances, and something will come out of left field that we've never even anticipated. So City Park is definitely taking a good look to see how we can shore up for the future, and in particular, how we can replenish all the reserves that we went through.
Well, great. Well, that leads perfectly into the next question. So what are some of City Park's top priorities and initiatives going forward?
Well, great question. I think like so many other people that are watching today, it really is to replenish our funds. The park was absolutely inundated by people, and of course that's what made it so special. It just was able to serve the people in a different way, a place of community and a place where people could honestly see other people. And so our reserves were the thing that kept us afloat when there was nothing else doing it. So first and foremost, we're here to replenish our reserves. And it's only with kind of some financial depth that we can be visionary. And I think we'd be fools not to recognize that everybody finally understood that parks matter in a way that maybe they'd never understood before. And so I think we are taking a good look and say, are we ready to go out into the community and hear the stories of their interaction with the park and what the park can do differently or do better moving forward. So first we have, some financial reparations to do to give us some depth. But then we really look forward to having a new dialogue with the community about what the park means to you and how it can serve New Orleans and the region.
Great. And in trying to move forward and in doing rebolstering your financial reserves and all, what sort of opportunities might there be for workforce development and getting people more engaged with getting the community more engaged?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, one of the things that's really unique about City Park, fun fact, right? It has the largest collection of live oaks in the entire world. That said, our funding model hasn't even allowed it for us to have a full-time arborist. So I think our future, we have these wonderful components here at City Park that allow us to do so much, from our botanical garden to our events to even Voodoo Festival. And I think we're ready to take a look at what it means for the next 100 years in terms of land management and stormwater management and our natural resources. And as we do that, we're seeking kind of a unique workforce to build upon. New Orleans and the region are filled with these amazing world-class specialists in terms of coastal restoration, but the water within the park is not tidal-based. and it's a little bit different. We need people that are riparian edge specialists, that are water quality specialists when it comes to a lagoon system and in pond systems and wetlands. So we actually think that there's a pretty robust outdoor university right here at City Park where we can really begin to take a multidisciplinary approach to developing experts here in New Orleans that can not just serve New Orleans, but also serve the region.
Oh, that's great. I love City Park, because I know most people around here do. And that's wonderful to hear, and I hope that everything is able to come to fruition as you would like. Let me switch over to Jennifer right now. Jennifer, in your work with LBAN and all of the entrepreneurs that you have seen regarding how businesses can scale, and especially given all of the recent challenges from last year, what are some significant growth factors that will help business owners?
Yes, well, thank you. I just want to also start by saying thank you. It's an honor to be here and just share amongst this panel. It's great to be part of a panel that's really focused, not only a panel, but an event today that's focused on women. So thank you for the invitation. You know, when I think about what we do at LBAN, so for those of you that might not be familiar with our organization, it is Latino Business Action Network. We are a national organization really designed to strengthen the United States by empowering Latino and Latina business leaders across the country. We do that through research and through education and ecosystem development. So I have a really distinguished honor to be able to work with so many phenomenal business leaders across the country. But as I look back to 2020 and even still to this day, many businesses have had a very challenging environment. And that's no news to anybody. I don't need to share that. But what I do want to say is we saw a tremendous amount of resilience, of creativity and innovation. I mean, some people probably have like whiplash from the amount of times that they had to pivot, right? We heard that word over and over again. You have to pivot, you have to pivot. And what I think right now, as we go into the second half of 2021, is a phenomenal opportunity awaits business leaders. And that is build in that same urgency, that heightened sense of urgency and innovation and creativity into your ongoing business operations. Because what I see as the risk is that they say, oh, I've had a great quarter, or I've had a great year, and they go back to business as usual. And we can't go back to business as usual. We've experienced too much, and it would be such a lost opportunity to return to business as usual. And so, from a very philosophical thing, I think there's a great opportunity for businesses to continue to operate with innovation and a heightened sense of urgency. When I think about scaling specifically and how one can take their business to the next level, our Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative report that came out in 2019, so this is pre-COVID, but it identified about a handful of factors that positively contribute to growth of a company. And one of those elements was a professional network. And again, I don't believe this is anything new, but I want to highlight how powerful a professional network is to a small business owner. I first want to say that being part of a professional network doesn't just mean that you sign up and you receive the newsletter. It means that you show up and that you be present and that you're engaged and you're responding and you're interacting with the other members of that organization, that you take on leadership roles, that you're really active in that network. And if I can just highlight specifically from our side, this is an example that I saw at LBAN, is that we have a network now of over 700 entrepreneurs that have completed our program. And the power of this network was really illuminated in 2020 when we were going through round one of PPP. Because any business owner remembers how chaotic that environment was. Communication was consistently changing, the process was unclear, the banks were unresponsive, etc. And so what we did as a network is we provided resources, subject matter experts, we connected, we were staying on top of the headlines and really bringing that information, which is the first part. But the second part is the individuals themselves begin to contribute and share their experiences. So there was one business owner that chimed in and said, I applied at this bank, I got no response. Somebody else said, I applied here, and this is what they said. I got approved in 3 days. This is what I did. And they were just really sharing their experiences. And because of that, they were able to learn from each other's experiences and really, lead one another. And that is powerful. I don't share that to tout our organization, but really to highlight the importance of being part of that an active network.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to say the power of networking is exponential. Whether you're a member of the chamber, the Hispanic chamber, as I am, and some of the people in our audience, whether you're a member of WeBank South and have your certification, if you're part of the WB Collective here, the power of networking and just engaging with your peers and sharing ideas and community is so incredibly strong. Let me ask you, since we're talking about the importance of a network and all, can you speak a little bit to the power of formalizing a mentorship? Because having a mentor is also very critical, and it's just not, do you want to give me some ideas? Do you want to be my mentor? But how can you really formalize and strengthen a good mentorship?
Great question. And I think for women specifically, this is one of those challenges that we might have, whether it be, if you are in your corporate career or an entrepreneur, a mentor has its place and can add a ton of value to your, to your walk and to your journey. I think one of the quotes out there that says is a mentor helps you see further and go faster. So what I would say in terms of how do you formalize a mentor, how do you find a mentor? One is that you have to recognize the value that each person brings. So you might not find one individual that encapsulates everything and understands your industry and understands you as an individual, but they have the ability to speak into an area of your business or an area of your career. And so you might have several mentors, right? Somebody that helps you in one segment and somebody else that really can speak into another area. Regardless of how many people you have classified as a mentor, here's what I believe is really important, is your formalization of that relationship simply needs to be stated so that the individual knows that they have permission to speak into your life, to speak into your business. Because if they don't know that they have permission, they might not be forthcoming with that information or with that guidance and advice. So what I would say to that is, however formal you want to be, it could simply be stated, I just want you to really, anytime you see me, anything that you can offer to me in the area of finances or in the area of leadership and professional development, feel free to add and speak into that area of my life. And so I think that part is really important to give the individual permission. The second part is that you have to take ownership of it. And that can look like simply, can I get an hour on your calendar once? And then you as an individual come prepared. This is what I would love to discuss with you tomorrow, and have your agenda ready. Know what you want to get out of your mentor relationship. We tell our network all the time, you have to drive the agenda. You have to drive the agenda between you and your mentor.
Great advice. Thank you so very much. And very helpful, I'm sure, to a lot of the business owners. Let me move over to Elia now. As an expert in cybersecurity, and we hear so much about data breaches and just people's bank accounts getting hacked. There's so much industrial espionage, so to speak. So what advice would you offer businesses in regard to safeguarding their businesses, their financial information, their trade secrets, anything in cybersecurity that you would like to impart to them?
Thank you. And again, thank you for asking me to be here today. It's It's always my pleasure to speak with a group of esteemed female leaders in the community. So thank you. With regard to cybersecurity in businesses, businesses are various sizes, but when it comes down to what you need to do to protect your data and your information, it really can be almost the same across the board. You need to have a cybersecurity plan in place. That's number one. You need to keep it updated. You need to train yourself and your employees, and you need to have a continued updated training protocol in place. So it really comes down to education, educate your employees, implementation, implement security protocols, including testing, and keeping your PCs up to date, whether you're a small business or a large organization. One of the other aspects a lot of people forget is dealing with passwords. Passwords need to be practical. You can't reuse them, and you shouldn't really use those password hits. I know we all like them because it makes our lives easier, but it also makes people who are trying to break into your system's lives easier as well. So one of the things that we've seen in the industry is using phrases, because phrases are much harder to decipher, and so your information is going to be more secure. One of the things you want to mention is don't confuse cyber awareness with security training. They really are two different things. You need to focus on behavior changes to measure your success. So you want to make sure you have behavior changes that happen across the board and that you then measure your success with implementing those changes. So one of the things both big or small businesses need to implement is to update your patches or emergency patch systems as soon as possible. I know as small business owners or even some small firms will say, well, we got a patch, we're going to put it on in a few days or maybe a week or two. You really should implement it as soon as you get that, and make sure that you have a formalized policy.
Yeah. Can I interrupt you just 1 minute? For somebody who might not know, what is a patch? When you're talking about your patches, what is that?
So the patches are, for a layman, is when you get an update or you'll get a security update and it'll come and say, Word has a patch or Microsoft has a patch. And you get this little email update saying, to install, go ahead and click it here. So you want to make sure that you update it. Your security individuals will know exactly what it means, your IT people, but you want to make sure that they implement it and they implement that patch across the board for all of your PCs that are being used in your firm or your industry.
Okay. Now, what advice would you have? What about for the average person at home, or somebody who's working, say a solopreneur, or even just with your kids in school? Everybody has done so much stuff virtually. What
Right.
what would you suggest they do?
My favorite commercials, you see the little kid who thinks he won $1 million, and they're all
Yes,
excited, and he's like, yeah, no, that's not real. So
I saw
a
that
lot
just
of
today.
right. A lot of those same safety protocols you implement as an individual, which means you have a password. Don't use the same password for all of your sites. You can use, there's a lot of different books out there that will do safety protocol password books that will keep all your passwords safe. You can also implement the use of automatic generated passwords, but using phrases is the best thing
Okay.
to be implemented. Don't reuse the phrase. Have something, don't do, for example, somebody might simply do clown '01, and they do clown '02, clown '03. Those are really easy, and if you wanted to test how quickly or how easily your password can be broken by a computer, there are several sites that you can go to and enter, a password. Please don't enter your real one, but enter a password that's similar, and you can see how quickly they can break your password and
Wow.
be able to enter into your system.
Wow, that's incredible. I know of someone just recently whose husband's laptop was hacked, and from there they went to their bank accounts and drained 2 accounts completely in a matter of hours. So
One other
if
thing
even
I
that
would say-
long, so.
Yeah, it's horrible. One other thing I would mention as an individual, and this goes across businesses as well, when you're training your individuals, is to be able to train them to recognize what is a real email and what is not a real email. To be able to recognize there's certain things that you need to be training individuals when you see the email pop up. Does the name match the site, the email address? Does the email address look real or not? Is the name spelled differently? Is it maybe somebody that you're familiar with, but they spelled the name with an A instead of an E? Go online and you can see, so there's a lot of things that you can do just to protect yourself. Don't do that automatic click.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Okay. One last question. Let me shift gears just a little bit, but I know you serve on the board of OnPath, and so in attempting to improve the financial health of underserved communities, what are some of the very critical needs right now in order to achieve this?
So our critical needs tend to be what we focus on all the time, whether we're in pandemic or not. But the critical needs are going to be financial education, planning, and management. Those three things will help individuals better understand their financial choices and better aid them in their financial planning and budgeting. And that then will allow them to improve their overall financial health and habits, because those habits are really important. And what we hope by having the education, the financial education, the financial planning and financial management programs and opportunities, we hope that will lead our individuals to have stronger financial behaviors, and that then would result in better financial outcomes for them.
Okay, great. All right, now this question goes to all three of the panelists. I wanted to touch base first just a little bit with each of you individually, but now this is open to, all three of you if you wish. But whether the head of an organization as Kara and Jennifer, or as a shareholder as Elia, is there a new way of conducting business as a result of this pandemic, as it applies to your areas? Does that make sense?
Go ahead.
I'm happy to chime in. I actually, my first couple of weeks on the job, I was in front of my whole leadership team, about 20 or 25 people, and I gave a speech about the importance of showing your face on Zoom meetings and really being there, and even though parks are about engaging with people, that there was going to be a new element as we move through capital projects, or even as we begin convening dialogue with parks and public spaces across the nation, that's going to require a heavier dependence than we've ever seen before on just what we're doing, right now, Blanca, right?
Yeah.
Meeting virtually. And one of my staff members put their hand in the air and they said, well, what if we don't have any cameras on our computers? And I said, well, who here doesn't have cameras on their computers? And every person put their hand in the air. Wow. And I realized as parks, we're so driven to kind of give these, bottom line deliverables that you just can't not do, trash and safety and restrooms, honestly, that we hadn't had a chance to reconsider this new line of work that was coming, that was going to be expected of us. So I think for the world of parks, it's actually been a really, really big change to have so many people descending on parks while suddenly all your work was being required to be done behind a computer screen.
Yeah, wow.
I would say we had a very similar issue, both that, so at the HNBA, we had to make a complete pivot and have a virtual conference, which was unheard of. We've never done that before. So we're learning about platforms, we're learning about how, what are the best days to have a virtual conference, because there's actually statistics that show you the best days and how long should it be, and there's virtual fatigue. So there was a lot of pivoting for the HNBA. For the law firms, there was the same type of pivoting, and that we did really well from learning from Katrina, so we're able to work from home. That we had to get cameras. We now have trials by virtual trials, virtual hearings. Some courts are going in person. Some courts still are still closed and are not setting trials or setting hearings. And so it's a very different adaptation. But the adaptation I found with regard to whether it's OnPath, HNBA, or the law firms are very similar in terms of how do you conduct your business, how do you have a virtual presence, how do you organize so that you can meet your members or your shareholders or your clients or your employees' needs.
Yeah. Great.
I would just add to that is, from an entrepreneur perspective, working with so many small businesses and a lot of organizations across the country that are looking to serve small businesses, I believe one of the challenges is this shiny object syndrome, right? There's a plethora of resources, and it's almost challenging for an entrepreneur to know, where do I need to cling to and what do I need to focus on? But really, as we go, this new wave of business and operating is that as an entrepreneur, a small business needs to know where they are focused. You need to know for your company what are the critical non-negotiables for your business, and you as a business leader, how you need to commit to that day in and day out, and kind of push this shiny object out of sight, out of mind, and really focus on what is going to be the greatest return for your investment, and your investment is primarily your time. What is going to give you the greatest return for your investment, and how do you remain focused on that?
Yes, yes. Okay, very good. Thank y'all. Now, all of you serve on various boards. You are community activists, if you will. And so through your involvement within the community, how have you been able to influence how ethnic minorities are perceived and appreciated, especially given the climate these days and so much hate out there? So how do you build up ethnic minorities in the eyes of the public? I know it's a heavy question.
Well, the HNBA, that's part of our mission. So we're a national nonprofit, nonpartisan organization who actively works throughout the year to be in our community, to be present in our community, to advocate on behalf of our community. And this year, because it's been virtual, we've had to pivot a bit, but we are actively present not only in the corporate world and on the local level, but also in the government sectors. So we've been working closely with the administration and government leaders for vetting, various individuals. And I think that part of our mission, if you will, is to make sure that people understand what is going on in our communities, what issues are of importance to our communities, and why those issues need to be addressed by corporations, by local businesses, and by the local government and our national government. So we actually, as part of our mission, work very closely across the country to make sure that people understand the needs and issues of the Hispanic community, as well as how certain things are affecting our community.
Okay.
Yeah, I can share, Vanka, from my perspective is that, I feel very fortunate that we have research. So our Stanford Latino entrepreneurship team, they conduct annual research on Latino business owners across the country. And that research really helps us shape the narrative and change the narrative of Latinos in our country, specifically as it pertains to small business and entrepreneurship. But I do want to highlight one of the things that is important for people to understand, and even specifically for Latinos to understand, is the contribution that we collectively make to our economy and to our country. And it's phenomenal when we recognize how innovative we are as a community, how innovative, how hardworking and persevering we are as a community. And one, it's important to know that. But two, it's important to disseminate that information so that people understand the contributions from a purely economical perspective, how Latinos are contributing to the economy. And it's a matter of shifting that narrative for our country.
Great. Any other comments on this?
Well, I'd like to add, I think it's absolutely critical that nonprofit boards or quasi-governmental boards such as City Park or places that are serving the community at large, there has to be intentionality about getting ethnic minorities on the board and at levels of policy making and decision making. I don't see any way that we can serve the communities that we serve. So at City Park, as an example, if you come to City Park, it absolutely looks like New Orleans. I mean, nearly the demographics almost perfectly match it. And we need to make sure that as we're changing policy or changing direction, that we have as many viewpoints represented as possible. And I think being very intentional about ensuring representation at the governance level is one of the most important things that we can be doing.
Okay, great. Since you mentioned board service, I know everybody has been so consumed with the pandemic, understandably so, but what words of encouragement would you offer in regard to the importance of board service? And that way we expand the representation, whether you're serving on your local chamber, on the board at City Park, your church board, any number of things, but how do you encourage the civic engagement?
Well, most boards actually have a civic engagement portion or responsibility, regardless of what type of board it is, even if it's a corporate C-suite type situation. But I would think, one of the things that you want to encourage them is that if you want to make a change or you want to see a difference, then you need to make sure that your board looks like your community, and you want to be able to have, it's very rewarding to be on a board. It's a lot of hard work, but it's very rewarding. And if you want to see a change and you want to move the needle, then you should actively try to be on a board.
Okay, I so agree with you. I know I serve on a few boards, and yes, it is a lot of work, but yes, it is very, very rewarding as well. And so hopefully, all of the boards will, or a lot of the people will start considering some board service. I know, believe it or not, we are getting close to the end of our time, so I want to make sure that I cover some of the other areas that I wanted to address. But Jennifer, let me ask you real quick, regarding the Stanford program that LBAN is associated with, what is the criteria for any Latino or Latina business owner who wants to participate in the program?
So the criteria is that you have to be a Latino-owned business, so that means 51% or more. You have to be headquartered in the United States, and you have to have either $1 million in annual revenue or $500,000 in professional external funding. And this program is really designed for entrepreneurs who want to scale their business and take it to the next level. So it's an 8-week intensive program. It's all online, so you can continue managing your business and really at the same time gain the skill sets and the business tools to up-level your company.
Okay, great. Elia, what are some of the initiatives of the Hispanic National Bar Association in regard to the advancement of diversity and advocacy?
Cool, I could go on for a long time, so I'm just going to give you some highlights because that's a part of our mission, obviously. So we've been working very hard, as I mentioned earlier. We have a judicial and executive appointments initiative where we are actually vetting and endorsing and putting forward various individuals across the board for cabinet positions, executive level positions, DOJ positions, and of course, judicial positions on the circuit level and the local level. So that's very important with regard to diversifying the judicial bench, because you want the bench to look like the people that they represent. We also have the Poder 25, which is an endeavor to increase the number of Hispanic GCs and Fortune 500 companies. So that's a very active diversity and inclusion project that we have going on. We partner with our sponsors and our strategic partners, which are corporations and firms, with meet and greets to provide the opportunity for them to hire diverse candidates and to get to know them on a personal level. And of course, we advocate for DE&I, year round. We advocate on the Hill. We do, as a matter of fact, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be on the Hill virtually for a whole week, advocating on various issues, including judicial diversity, criminal justice reform, voting rights, immigration, and COVID relief. But wow. DE&I is an important aspect that we cover in practically all of our programs, including our pipeline programs.
Okay, great. And Kara, any specific triggers that will influence an economic rebound for City Park?
I think is what we all want, actually, and that's a return to normal, whatever that new normal is. But as I mentioned earlier, we're so dependent on the income that comes from events. We net nearly $1 million a year from events at the park, and almost a similar amount for our amusement park. Both things have, which had to be shut down. So I think beyond the psychological need that we all have to be together again, those are critical income streams for the park.
Okay, perfect. All of you three ladies are incredible dynamos, very busy, and I'm sure probably struggle with the work-life balance as everybody else does. So a few years ago, I read an article about a new female CEO at a well-known corporation. And when she was appointed, she came home late in the evening, of course, and she was so excited to tell her family, her spouse, her kids, her mother, about the news. And as soon as she walked in the door, her mother, who happened to be living with them, mentioned that they needed milk. And her husband was home, so she had asked her mother, why didn't he go? And he was tired. And so why hadn't the mom gone earlier? Well, she was busy. So she went to the store as a dutiful daughter, and when she returned, she finally told her mother about her fantastic promotion. And the mother was not impressed. Her words, and I'm paraphrasing here, were, when you walk in that door, you are the wife and mother. Leave the crown at the office. So as I mentioned, all of you are very successful, and very successful women, whether married or single, with children or not. And you have a lot of additional demands on your time. But you have personal lives as well. So how do you ensure that you leave your crown at the office?
Ooh, great question. Great question. I will share this, is I have 3 young kids and they're all, grade school level. I live here in California where my kids are in public school, and public schools have been closed. They just opened in April. So there was certainly a juggling of professional and being a mom and being a teacher and everything else. But one thing that has really stood out to me is to recognize that I am not, I'm a human and I have limitations, and to recognize where my limitations are and really to extend grace to myself and to extend grace to everyone around me. That's my children, that's my husband, that's my team at work, because I also have a really high standard for myself and for everyone around me. But I recognize that we all have limitations. And so understanding when to surrender that, and for me, it's, a big part for me is my faith and surrendering my limitations to my faith. And really saying, I can do what I can do today, and beyond that, I'm not going to walk in guilt, and I'm not going to walk in, anything else that society might place on us. And certainly there is that mother guilt, and there's
yes.
Lots to come to.
Well, I live in New Orleans, so I like to think that I wear lots of crowns. I have a crown for each area, and one of those crowns is the crown of self-care. And so that's equally important. So, for me, it's about time management, setting expectations and boundaries, and making sure that I set aside time for wellness, and that wellness is specific to me and me only. And so if I have to say no, the answer is no. If I have to say we can do that at a later date, especially with HNBA, we are dealing with regions and affiliates and, members that are on the East Coast as well as on the West Coast. So there's also all that time difference that we have to take into account for when we're having meetings or when somebody needs to talk to me about something important. So I really wear that that self-care crown, and I make sure that I wear it at least once or twice a week, and it helps me manage everything.
Perfect.
Well, I'll add that I was punting to my other 2 wonderful panelists because I feel that I fail a little bit at this issue, actually. So as a mother of 4, my eldest daughter teases me and says that on my tombstone, it will say, park, 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 park. But, I think that is maybe a different expression of something else that really matters. And that's that I have the privilege of doing something that I truly love, and that is a pleasure and a privilege. But I do recognize that the park is absolutely a member of our family, right? Like so many people that are watching today, I think they understand that with their career. So I do try to draw the line, though. screens are down. When we're together, we're together. And enough people have all of my phone numbers that if an emergency happens, people are going to find me. So that means I can put it down for a while. And I can not check things quite as frequently on the weekends. And, my children are wonderful. And in many ways, they've actually, they've been here, they've all been employees of the park in some way, shape, or form, meaning they've been alongside me the whole way. And they deserve as much of my attention as I can give them. And I get so much back through that moment. So much is put in my bank just by putting down the screen.
Okay, great. Ladies, believe it or not, we are out of time. I thank you on behalf of the Hispanic Chamber, the WB Collective, all of our wonderful sponsors. Thank you very much. This has been a very informative panel. I know we could go on because there's obviously more questions, but again, have a beautiful day, and thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to our amazing panelists and moderator. What inspiring messages and expert advice and insight for our women business owners and just the community in general. Thank you very much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Janet Lopez, Chair of our Young Professionals Committee, who will have a few remarks for you today and introduce our following segment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayra. My name is Janet Lopez. I'm the chair of the Hispanic Young Professionals. I am so honored and excited to be representing the Young Professionals Committee with you all today. The mission of our Young Professionals Committee is to foster the growth of the young professionals in Louisiana through community service, leadership development, and networking. So we invite you all to get engaged with our committee. Please follow us on Instagram at hcc.yp and on Facebook as well. We have an event next week that we'd love to invite you all to. It's our Lunch and Learn, which is going to be honoring Mental Health Awareness Month. It's next Thursday, May 20th at 11:30. So please, you're all invited to come. Please register through our Instagram and Facebook pages.
Yes, I know. I just
and
found
now I
out
invite
myself
you
that I
to
just
view
got out
our next
of court.
session of Local
I
Women's Spotlights.
can't bring my
Thank you so
phone
much.
in with me. I spent all morning. About 10 minutes ago, I came out and I came straight to another engagement. I'm sorry. I thought you got there early.
Thank you so much, and we are going to watch our Local Women's Spotlights.
Hi everyone, I'm Julia Garcia Diaz, an infectious disease specialist over at Ochsner Medical Foundation. I've been there for since 1998 as faculty. I joined them in the early 90s to do my training there. I arrived in the United States in 1976, like many of us, without speaking English, and went through the struggle to sort of learn the language and to adapt to the new culture. Fortunately, I have two wonderful parents who guide me through all of that. We came here for the same reason that we all do, to look for something better. And through work, and education, I was able to find that, and with the support of a beautiful family, which is still with me. Through school, learned the language, was able to go to college and ultimately medical school. Like some of us, we don't have enough role models to guide us through that. So I reach out to you and to be able to do those role models for all of our young women who are trying to understand how do they go through our system. We've had many challenges this past year. The pandemic was present, and it was a struggle for everyone. And that allowed me to go through a next chapter in my life, which is research. And I was able to do many clinical research trials for vaccines. And in the process of that, I found out that there is a great deal of distrust, not that we didn't know about it, but there is a great deal of distrust in the healthcare community by the Latino community. And so we were able to reach to many of you who helped us to engage them and be able to get vaccinated, not just to clinical trials, but also to get vaccinated. There's no other way that we're going to end the pandemic. So we are going through that, and I think successfully we are able to vaccinate many of our community presently. So as we move on, I ask you to please be engaged with not just women, but with all of those, to be able to be role models for them. That's the only way that you can advance in this culture in which we need to adapt. I also like to thank Mayra Pineda not only for inviting me here and be part of the symposium and send the message to all the audience, but also for all the work that she does with the Hispanic Chamber. Thank you, Mayra.
Hello, my strong, beautiful ladies. I hope every single one of you are enjoying this wonderful symposium. My name is Dr. Jenny Bordales Main, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for CRC Global Solutions, which is a supply chain company. CRC has many different offices around the United States and abroad. We are a family of company that has different divisions. All these divisions eventually would tie up to the supply chain. And those divisions are warehousing, transportation, commercial real estate, and construction. We also have branding, software development, and the one that's closest to my heart, our nonprofit, which is CRC We Care, We Share. During the pandemic, we never stopped serving our customers. We fell in the essential workers category since we warehouse and transport food. Our philanthropy work did not stop either. During the pandemic, we were able to feed thousands of families in our community with our food giveaway. We were blessed to give away 8 to 12 containers of food a week. As an international company that we are, we think globally, and so does our aid. Over the last 2 years, our office in Honduras tripled its capacity, and in response to the devastation of the pandemic and the impact of 2 major hurricanes, God took us to places that we never thought we were able to reach, and that's how we started our international aid. From December 2020 until now, CRC has been able to send 12 containers of help to those in need. We didn't only send help, but we were able to create long, life-lasting relationships with the people in Honduras. Now, to give you a quick overview about my journey, as a Honduran descendant, my goal in life were to always succeed and to do better. Now, how did I accomplish that? Through hard work, dedication, and getting an education. I was taught that I was capable to do anything in life, and with God and my hard work, I was able to accomplish my dreams. Now, every single one of us has a story that can help inspire a new generation. I personally believe that with partnership like the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we can make a difference. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has many programs that can benefit women, and it can give them the necessary tools to succeed. I hope everyone continues to enjoy this wonderful symposium, and thank you, Mayra Pineda and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for allowing me to be part of this wonderful experience.
Hi everyone, my name is Valeria Ali. I'm here to share with you all my experience as a young professional woman. To give you guys a little bit of background who I am currently a senior at Loyola University, New Orleans, studying marketing and communications. I am the owner and founder of Imagen Marketing Agency. I am a Latina, I am woman, and let's just hop right into it. I'm really hoping with this small conversation I'm able just to inspire anyone. You could be 16 years old or 61 years old, that it doesn't matter what background you come from. Maybe you didn't have the right connections growing up, not the best financial upbringing, or you just didn't have anyone to really guide you in what career path or to take. And that's kind of like my story. Grew up with immigrant parents, so you can already imagine the kind of life I had. My dad was a butcher at a local grocery store, and my mom was a cosmetologist. So when the idea and the thoughts and starting to think about what I wanted to do when I grew up, it was kind of like everywhere. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt like I could do everything, but at the same time, I didn't really know how to get there, nor did I have people to orientate me because, of course, my parents weren't in a country where they were able to understand all the opportunities there were. Honestly, this story, it can't be told completely without me mentioning that this is all a God move. Me being here is all a God move, right? So, was on this pre-law track at Loyola University, and then I was like, okay, I need to switch. And so that's when I decided to do this like career inventory test. And nobody really talks about this. I didn't even know this existed. And it basically, you take a test that matches your interest with the interest of professionals in their careers. And it kind of just like gives you a roadmap, like here, this is what you need to do. Like, why didn't anybody tell me about this? I would have saved so many tears and anxieties my first semester of university, right? Took the test, and the first thing it said that I should be was a florist. And I said, although that sounds like the most exciting career opportunity when I retire, I think I need something a little bit more tangible while I'm here at university. So I ended up scrolling down the list of things, right? And one of the things that popped up for me was analytics, marketing, communications, and I just kind of was, that's like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, boom, marketing. Figuring out my interest in who I am has led me to the place I am today. I was able to achieve one of the most greatest career opportunities of my life, receiving funding from Google for one of my clients worth over $70,000. I'm here to say that you have the opportunity in your life to look at your background and realize, well, I didn't have the best financial upbringing, I didn't have the network connection, I didn't have all the resources. You can look back at that, and then you can decide to say, well, I want something better for my life. And let me tell you, and be the first to tell you if I'm not, that you can do anything you set your mind to. And just because you are a woman, just because you are young, just because you're a little bit older, it doesn't mean that you can't accomplish your professional career dreams. And I hope my short summed up story kind of gives you a little bit of hope and inspiration to go start that business, to go open that salon, to go study cosmetology, to go get that certificate. Because anything and everything is possible because you are a woman, because you are Latina, because you are American, because you are immigrant, because you are young, because you are old, because you are you.
The much-awaited moment is here. here for our keynote speaker, and that's Ms. Dee Marshall, CEO, Diverse and Engaged. An international speaker, certified coach, leadership trainer, diversity consultant, and published author, D.C. Marshall is CEO at Diverse and Engaged, and recently named Top 50 People of Color list by Rio, Top 25 Influential Black Women in Business by the Network Journal, and Top 25 Leading Women Entrepreneurs. She's a Wall Street alumna who trained million-dollar producers at top financial services firms, a contributor to Essence Magazine, Black Enterprise, the New York Times, and others. She's the founder of D&I Honors, where Congress meets culture, inclusion, and belonging, the curator of Diversity on the Hill, and creator of Win, Rock, and Rule Women's Empowerment. Dee is a fierce advocate for women of color in business, a go-to for supplier development for Black women, and currently serves as second vice chair on WeBank Forum Engagement Committee. Dee is co-host of Be Lifted Up radio show on Sirius XM with SVP Alfred Edmond Black Enterprise, and founder of Girlfriends Pray. So we have a powerhouse here with us today, and we're so excited to welcome you, Dee. We're looking forward to listening to your remarks today. Welcome to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce 2021 Women Business Symposium.
Well, hello there, everybody. Hello and good afternoon. I am so excited to be with you this afternoon. I have to say that this is my second visit to a Hispanic chamber in the last 2 months or so. But what makes this special is the women's program. The last program was for all. And so I am super, I'm gonna say, excited always to be in a room of powerful women. So thank you for inviting me. So Myra, thank you so much. Appreciate your leadership and the work that you do here. And Teresa Lawrence, thank you so much. A dear, sweet sister friend who I've come to know over the years. She's been a supporter of me and my work. And so anything great that I have done, Teresa Lawrence has really been a huge champion. And so I had to be here when she told me about the chamber, and I wanted to be here. And so I'm going to share in the time that we have together just a small deposit in your spirit. How about that? Oh, by the way, Valeria, was she not amazing? I'm just thinking how amazing of a spirit, of a gem, of a young woman she is. And I'm just thinking, whatever she is going to do in her life, the sky is the limit. Oh my goodness, she just really filled me up. But in any event, I'll start by saying, and just really sharing just a little backstory in terms of what gives me such delight to be here, right? So if you're asking yourself, where did I get all of this energy? Listen, I woke up like this. I did. And what I mean by that is I wake up every day happy, thrilled, excited about life. We call it on a level 10. I wake up happy, thrilled, excited. Say it with me. Happy, thrilled, excited about life. It's a level 10. And the reason I wake up happy, thrilled, excited about life and on a level 10, there's a number of reasons. So one, it's because I am honoring my passion and walking in my purpose. And so that's what helps me to get up on a 10 every day. The second, reason I wake up happy, thrilled, excited, and on a level 10 is, I have meaning and purpose for my life. And, it hasn't always been that way. So, yes, I acknowledge that part of the reason I can wake up happy, thrilled, excited, and on a level 10 is, when you know what it is that you are supposed to do here. And then another reason I wake up happy, thrilled, excited, and on a level 10 in the morning, and I woke up with this energy, is because I have amazing work that I am doing in the world, and it makes me feel good. How many of you can really resonate with when you do what it is that you are called to do, what you're created to do? It gives you a different energy. You're happy, thrilled, excited. And so the work that I do, I wear this one hat as CEO of Diverse and Engage, and we work with a lot of women. And so that makes me happy. And then in addition to that, I wear a number of hats, but one of them is 10 years ago, I founded an organization called Girlfriends Pray. I'm a woman of faith, and I know the last panel, I heard one of the women say, talk about faith. And so certainly that helps me to wake up happy, thrilled, excited, and on a level 10 because I'm serving, I'm giving before I am taking. And then third, when you do well in your business and what you do, whatever it is that you do. And for me, that was coaching women, empowering women, and now running a business. But then you have a third hat that you wear in the world that we live in, and it's sometimes called expert. And so as an expert in women's empowerment and such, I get to do amazing things. It helps me to wake up on a level 10. 6 years Obama White House, that helps me wake up on a level 10. Hanging out with Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, that helps me wake up on a level 10. Television opportunities helps me wake up on a level 10. Media opportunities helps me wake up on a level 10. Traveling around the globe, or at least before COVID, helps me to wake up on a 10. It's yummy, delicious work. And that's what helps me to wake up on a 10. So now, do you get a sense of just not what I do, but who I am? And who I am helps me to wake up like this, right? You all know the lyrics to Beyonce's track, I Woke Up Like This. Yeah. So that is how I wake up on a level 10. And I share that because often in sharing my experience, I know it's going to speak to someone in the room today. Something I said just in the introduction, that you have permission to honor your passion and walk in your purpose. You have permission to find meaning and purpose for your life. In fact, how it is that I have come to have meaning and purpose for my life, it was when I was a little brown girl, little black girl on Wall Street working my 9-to-5 job on September 11th. And I have my own story of walking down 33 flights of stairs after seeing plane number 2 crash into the World Trade Center. Now, Valeria, you and some of the other ladies here, y'all are too young to know about that, right? But it was a terrorist attack on this country. And it was, of course, the most unimaginable thing. But, it was a defining moment for me. And that defining moment helped me to make a definitive decision that I never want to be average. I never wanted to go back to status quo, right? But I wanted to pursue meaning and purpose. I wanted to know, God, why do I live? Why are we here? Because that just happened. In fact, ladies, COVID, that just happened, there has to be a reason for this. There has to be more meaning and purpose for all of our lives. And so for you, of course, you may not have had a defining moment like September 11th, but guess what? You've had a defining moment. you've lost a loved one, you've had to endure maybe an illness, a diagnosis, maybe you've gone through a loss in terms of a separation of relationships. It may not even have been a marriage. Maybe it was an auto accident. Maybe it was a job loss. So all of us have defining moments, and it brings us to a crossroad where we have to make a definitive decision about who we want to be, right? COVID, this experience is a defining moment where you get to decide who you want to be on the other side of this pandemic, right? You get to decide. And so that's how I came to meaning and purpose. But here's what I really want to share with you today in the short time that we have left, right? I really want to give you the how, right? Because you're thinking, well, I don't want to just hear your story, DC Marshall. It's wonderful. It's fabulous. But you want to know, right? Whenever it is that you come in contact with someone that you identify with, and right, they inspire the seed in your belly. They inspire the dream in your spirit. They inspire the thing that's keeping you up at night. You want to ask the question, but how? Everybody say, but how? Yes, do the microphone thingy. This is the microphone. But how, DC Marshall? How? How do we get to wake up on a 10? How do we get to the place where we're honoring our passion and walking in our purpose? How do we find meaning and purpose, right? And then how do we do work that we love, right? And so I'm going to share one thing. Now, it's not just one thing, but sometimes all you need is one thing. What's the one thing, DC Marshall? If you could share, how do we get to the place of waking up happy, thrilled, excited on a level 10, given that we are living in unprecedented times, given that you are having to do 2 and 3 jobs? I heard you all. I heard the last panel. You walk in the door, you got the big promotion, you're a boss, and you're running this amazing company, or you are a leader on your job, or you are summa cum laude, you are doing the darn thing at the university, right? And you walk through the door and your family is like, yeah, what's for dinner? Or can you make me a sandwich? Right? Okay. Even given all of that, here's the one thing, because there's a lot of things that you do. One thing is self-care. How you position yourself to do better and in terms of waking up on a level 10 is to make yourself a priority. Yep. You make yourself a priority, and how you do that is self-care. Self-care means that you have to now look and attend to yourself. I don't have to repeat this, common sort of analogy that everybody uses, but let's just say I will. You get on the airplane, and what happens? You're with your family, you're with your little bunchkins, you're with your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, your mama, your papa, your siblings, and the plane is going down and you want to save them. No, you cannot save them. Because when you put their mask on, guess what you're doing? When you attend to your family first, your kiddies first, your job first, you cannot sustain that. You're going to crash and burn, my sister friend. Yes. And so you have to attend to yourself first. And so I'm going to share just a few tips on how do you do that? How do I do that, D? I don't have time for that, D. Marshall. What are you talking about, self-care? When, D. Marshall? When, my dear? And so making yourself a priority, there's a few ways that you do this. And so the way that most of us think about self-care is in this way. We think about self-care as a once in a while trip to the spa, right? It's a treat. We think about it as a nice to have. We think about it as an occasional thing. Or sometimes we think about it as a self-indulgence and we don't afford ourselves the opportunity. We think, no, that's not doable, right? That's how we think about self-care. But I'm going to share something with you today. I want you to write this down, post in the chat, however you want to do it. Self-care is not a nice to have. It is a non-negotiable. It is a need to have. You know why, my dear sweet sister friends? Because you cannot sustain yourself and life, your health and your well-being if you are not attending to yourself. Okay? It is not sustainable. Self-care is not a luxury. It is a necessity. This is healthcare. Self-care is healthcare. Self-care is healthcare, my sister friends. Yes. Self-care is healthcare. Self-care is sanity. Self-care is restorative. Self-care helps you to refuel. Self-care helps you to refill. Self-care helps you to recalibrate. Self-care helps you to refocus. Self-care helps you to reimagine your life after COVID. Is this making sense? And so self-care, that is how you are going to begin to position yourself to wake up on a 10, honoring your passion, walking in your purpose, finding your purpose in life, meaning and purpose for your life, doing work that you love, and not just being average in the work. Listen, and that's how you're going to up level. That's how you become an expert. That's how you become an influencer. That's how you become in demand. We don't have time to be average, status quo, mediocre. Hello, somebody. Am I talking to you? Share out loud. Post in the chat. Write it down. Turn to your neighbor. Turn to your husband or your son or your daughter, who's ever there. Post online. We're talking about self-care. And I know the way that we are wired culturally, that's not how we are wired, ladies. I know this. Black and brown, Black and Latina, we are not wired that way. Right, mommy? You are wired to be a mommy. Latina women, Black women, and women of color, and I'm sure other women in the room. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Women are wired to take care of everybody else. But what happens is you put yourself at the bottom and you need to make yourself a priority or you are going to go down. And you can't afford that. You lived and you have made it through the most unprecedented times in history. God didn't bring you this far to bring you this far, my sister. And so self-care. So let me give you a little strategy and then I'm going to wrap because we're at the end. How, D. Marshall, then do you do self-care? So some people make self-care an occasional thing, quarterly, monthly. And it's when it is that you turn your attention to restorative efforts and activities to restore your soul. It's to refill you. So whatever things are filling to your soul, right? Okay. So it's no longer should be just quarterly or just monthly, but and just weekly. It should be daily. Now, for me, what self-care means and what it looks like, let's just say it is monthly, right? Monthly, I do take a trip. I take a trip and I camp out at a hotel in the mountains. And that restores me. That's self-care, but that's only monthly, okay? So then what about weekly? How do you do it weekly? Weekly, put yourself on your schedule. For me, it's every Saturday. I have self-care Saturdays. My Saturdays are not just Saturdays, they're self-care Saturdays. Sunday is a sacred Sunday. I have Mondays, I have Tuesdays, I have Win Day, I have Win Day, and I have Win Day, and then I have self-care Saturday, and then I have sacred Sundays. Okay? I'll say that again. I have Mondays, I have Tuesdays, I have Win Day, and then I have Win Days, and then I have Win Day, and then I have a self-care Saturday and a sacred Sunday. So on self-care Saturday, on my calendar, usually until about 11, but at minimum, there's an hour, there's 2-hour block of time where I am reflecting on my life. I am with my journal. I am downloading the week, what worked, what didn't, What do I need to do differently? Where were my wins? Where were my false starts? That's self-care. I am attending to myself. I am allowing for white space, right? No noise, no background. I silence the incoming traffic. Write that down. Silence the incoming traffic and attend to myself. So there's monthly, right? There's a getaway. Perhaps there's Saturday. It's a standing Saturday. And then during the week, there's always a spa opportunity because that's what fills me up. For you, it may be nature, right? But then here's what I want to leave you with. Self-care is every day. There's something that I do, it's called level setting. And level setting are the 7 things that I do before my feet hit the floor in the morning. If your feet hit the floor in the morning before these 7 things are done, game over, you've lost, D. Marshall. So self-care, monthly, weekly, this is daily, ladies, of where you are carving out time for yourself. The first part of the day where you don't have any interruptions and nobody is saying baby, honey, or mommy, right? It's you give yourself to you before you give yourself away. And what do you do before your feet hit the floor and why? What you do before your feet hit the floor is, and I'm going to go through the top 3. There's 7 things that I do, but I'll give you 3. When you wake up in the morning, do not grab your cell phone. Do not check email, right? And the one thing that I've found with self-care is a lot of us don't have boundaries. Say boundaries. We don't have boundaries. You wake up and you're on and you're off to the races. I have a 9 a.m. boundary, meaning personally, me as a person, as an individual, I am not open for business before 9. Why? Because you all as leaders, we as leaders have to be on and show up 100% when we show up, when we are open, right? How many of you agree? When you show up on your job, when you show up at school, when you show up in the business, it's game on. So you have to be 100% solid. And how you get there is self-care. It's what you do in the morning, the first things that you do before your feet hit the floor. That's self-care. You give yourself to you before you give yourself away. Whether it is you have 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or whether it is that you have generous amounts of time to prepare yourself. Does that make sense? Okay, so what do you do? The first thing before your feet hit the floor, remind yourself of your vision for your life before your feet hit the floor, right? And so the vision that you have for your life, you write that down. The second thing before your feet hit the floor is your self-identity statement, answering the question, who am I? Before your feet hit the floor, you remind yourself of who you are. And I'm wrapping, right? And then the third thing is your intention. What is your intention? Because you are either deliberate and intentional or you are random and just going through the motions. Does that make sense? So if you install a practice, a self-care practice, if you had to take away one thing, it's you install a self-care practice of giving yourself to you before you give yourself away. And it's a way of building yourself up before you have to go out into the world. You make yourself a priority. You remind yourself who you are, because when you hit the door, the world is challenging you on who you are and who you say you are. The world often is challenging you, us. And so you give yourself to you before you give yourself away. You make yourself a priority and you remind yourself of your vision for your life. You remind yourself of your self-identity statement and or your mission statement for you as an individual. And then number 3, you remind yourself of your intention. Do you see how that's going to fill you up? Because that kind of time creates clarity, and clarity of vision accelerates the goal. I'll say it again. Clarity of vision accelerates the goal. Clarity of vision accelerates the goal. To wake up on a 10, to honor your passion, walking your purpose, meaning and purpose for your life, and doing work that you love. So as I close, I'll leave you with my intention. The thing that I remind myself of every day, so that I'm ready to be here today, so that I don't need a lot of prep and coaching to be here. I don't need a note to speak from my heart, right? I don't need that to show up. I could show up and be 100% here because of my self-care and what I did in the morning, my level setting, reminding myself of who I am, reminding myself of why I'm here. I want you to remind yourself of who you are. I want you to remind yourself of why you're here. I want you to remind yourself of the vision that you have. I want you to even remind yourself of the legacy from which you came. And so, breathe that in. And I'll leave you with my favorite intention. My intention for life is to live my best life and to help other people do the same. My intention for life is to leave a footprint, a noticeable difference that I was here, so that my grandchildren's grandchildren would talk about me when I'm gone, like we talk about great historics. And then my third intention is when I stand before God at the end of my life without a single bit of talent left, I could say, God, I used all that you gave me. Take care, everybody. My name is D.C. Marshall. God bless you.
Thank you, Dee. We can't wait to have you back in another program. Thank you very much. And now we have here Chef Melissa with Alma Cafe. Melissa Araujo is a seasoned chef in New Orleans who boasts a diverse culinary background. Araujo has an insatiable passion for cooking and sharing her story through her beautiful plated and unique meals she creates while feeding others. Melissa was born in the third largest city in the Atlantic coast of Honduras, La Ceiba Atlántida. I lived there.
You did?
Growing up, her summers were spent in Honduras on her grandmother's farm. So instead of listening to me read her bio, why don't we have Chef Melissa tell us a little bit more about her story, because it's such an interesting journey.
Thank you, Mayra, and thank you for inviting me today. So guys, today we're going to do the Luisa toast, and while I'll do this, I'll tell you a little bit about me and who I am. So this dish actually originated in a memory of mine when I was a kid. La Ceiba is, like Mayra said, the third largest city in Honduras, and the Atlantic Ocean. It's amazing. So when I was a kid, I was able to go get the crab out of the water, you know, pick them up and take them to a bucket and then go home with my mother and cook. So you put it in a skillet. I prefer doing an iron skillet, but we're going to do it this today. A little bit of butter, bread of your choice. We're going to toast it the old-fashioned way. So we're going to use this. I have a couple of eggs here. We're going to use one, and then crab meat, oyster mushrooms, caramelized onions, a little bit of shallots, chives, garlic, white wine, and a little bit of this cheese is actually from a locally sourced farmer. It's Creole cream cheese. And then we're going to flip it up. You can leave it as toast as you like it. So we want to warm up nicely. Then we're going to put it right here. And while that is right there, we're going to put a little bit more butter. And we're going to put in the egg. While that is right there, we're going to put a little bit of the cream cheese. And we're going to put it all over the toast. So I have to say, this is one of my best sellers at Alma. This dish is so simple, but at the same time, it's amazing. not move that egg right there. So we're doing a quick scrambled egg. That's basically, I like my scrambled eggs soft. I don't like over hard. And we're gonna put it right there in the middle. And now we're gonna throw in the mushrooms, the crab meat, and the caramelized onions. So this dish actually is not heavy at all. And also in the process, we're going to do a little bit of garlic in chives. And if you have shallots, you throw them in there. Unfortunately, one of my cooks forgot to put the shallots on the prep list. So you move it up. You warm it up. Put a little bit of the white wine. And that starts releasing all the smells. So when I was creating this dish, particularly, I wanted to capture that memory, and this represents really who I am. The mushrooms are very earthy, onions, the flavor, the way we in Honduras do it with lots of butter. You know, it comes out like, And then the crab meat is not heavy at all, and all the ingredients into it. So once that is done, nice, you put it on top of it. Let's turn this off. And this is the fun begins. So we have fresh herbs for my garden and some of my local vendors too. So if you have been to the restaurant, you're going to see that I use a lot of fresh herbs. I do not believe in dry herbs in food, and that's because I want you, when you eat my food, to go into different levels of palates, that you feel what you're eating to come out. And then this triggers a memory. Then a little bit of fresh thyme. Move that out there. Let's put this back here. All right. A little bit of fresh dill. And you're probably like, that doesn't go together. It actually does very well. It makes it beautiful, but it also, once you start eating it, it stimulates your palate. And the last part, it's the microgreens. And there you go. That's our Louisa toast.
Thank you so much. I wish you could smell this. It's amazing, and it looks so beautiful. Chef Melissa, tell us about Alma Cafe. Tell us about the rest of your menu.
So Alma Cafe is a modern eatery Honduras. This is my family recipes. I interpret them in a modern way. You know, I take the base is traditional, and then the way we plate things is more me to it. I wanted to take Honduras food to 1 or 2 steps above of what people think Honduran food is, because we are a very diverse country. From the part that I am, the influence are Spanish and Africans and Indio Maya. Then you go up more in the mountains, you have a little bit more British, German, and in some way other cultures have come in through the country through time and changed a little bit. You know, if you want to offend some Honduran, talk about potato salad, not the way that we do it, you will offend our Honduran. We are passionate about our potato salad.
Love potato salad.
Yeah, and we put it basically in most of everything. But I wanted to step a little bit away from that. Take my grandmother's recipes and put them in center of the way that I've been cooking for 25 years already.
Wonderful. So go visit Alma Cafe very soon. You won't regret it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I know we're going to have a little discussion about this, who gets to taste it. And now we have our cocktail, our signature cocktail for the event, the Pearl, that is going to be prepared by, a guest bartender from Los Jefes Grill. And you need to stay with us because we're finishing with great entertainment. You don't want to miss Deco and his amazing dancers. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Stephanie here at Los Jefes Grill in Metairie, and today I'm going to be introducing y'all one of our signature drinks called the Pearl, or in Espanol, La Perla, to all you beautiful ladies at the Women's Business Symposium. So we're going to do 2 ounces of the Demagray Mezcal. Pour that in there. We're also going to do the Finest Call Margarita Mix. Gonna add some grapefruit in there. A little bit of agave. And a splash of Sprite. Right about the Sprite. We're gonna shake it up. Perfect. And then we splash it off with a little lime. There you go. Y'all enjoy.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Deco Martínez y estoy bien contento de estar en este evento. Quiero empezar felicitando a cada una de las mujeres que han formado parte de este evento, porque ustedes son el vivo ejemplo que rompe con aquel concepto mediocre de la sociedad actual, que piensa que las mujeres no pueden tener éxito, no pueden ser emprendedoras, no pueden ser líderes en un negocio. Ustedes están aquí para decir que no, que sí es posible y sirven de inspiración a muchas más mujeres. Y estoy bien contento con eso. Y aquí les dejo mi primera canción, se llama Lo que me gusta de ti, algo bien alegre. Música, maestro. Y dedicada a todas las mujeres latinas. Dice, arriba New Orleans. Go, let's drink,
quieres party y no olvidamos del estrés. Es que la vida es una sola y hay que vivirla bailando hasta el amanecer. Entonces dale, maquillate, que hoy nos vamos de fiesta hasta el amanecer. Si quieres invitar a tus amigas también. Ay mami, vamos a ver, ay mami, vamos a ver. A mí lo que me gusta de ti, que tú piensas como yo. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Lo que me gusta de ti, que tú piensas como yo. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. No lo pienses tanto, mueve la cadera, levanta tu cerveza, olvídate de los problemas. Hoy el dinero y el carro se queda, lo que tú gozas es lo que te lleva. Ay dale mami que esta noche yo quiero gozar contigo la noche entera. Ay dale que bailando se quita la pena. A mí lo que me gusta de ti, que tú piensas como yo. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Lo que me gusta de ti, que tú piensas como yo. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Y dile no a los problemas, bailando la noche entera. Olvídate de la pena, bailando se esconden las lágrimas. Un traguito más, pa' borrar lo que lastima. Del tiempo que se perdió, olvida bien que no volverá. Por eso canta y molores. Cuando me muera yo no quiero flores. Me ponga música, muchos tambores que me recuerden con mis canciones. Bailando al ritmo del vallenato, bailando la punta un rato. Olvídate de los temores, bailando se alegran los corazones. Lo que me gusta de ti, que tú piensas como yo. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Lo que me gusta de ti, que tú piensas como yo. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron. Hay solo party, gozadera, cerveza y ron.
Y las mujeres con la mano arriba, y las mujeres con la mano arriba.
Cerveza,
Orgullosa de ser la fiesta con la mano arriba,
cerveza y ron.
Todo varios gozadera, cerveza y ron. Y nos vamos con la segunda. Se llama Pa' que bailen. Y quiero pedir un aplauso para mis bailarinas. Nos vamos. Muy bueno, muy bueno. Dice, yeah.
Y tú me dices, mami,
Hey.
go left dreams. Con esta sí nos fuimos lejos. Esta te la traje pa' que baile, pa' que lo goce como quiera. Mami, levanta la mano, mueve la cintura, menea tu cadera. Y se me sube la locura hace rato. Qué rico tú lo bailas hasta el piso. Tú sueltas la tetera y los zapatos. Mami, yo te digo, goza y olvida tu problema. Lo que tú disfrutas es lo que tú te llevas. gózale nena, ay, goza, 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 ay, goza, 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 nena, lo que te disfruta es lo que tú te llevas, goza, goza, gózale nena, ay, goza, goza, y goza, ay, goza, goza, gózale nena, lo que te disfruta es lo que tú te llevas, dejo del fake baby, tú me dices mami, por eso
Y mami, yo te digo que goza, goza, gózale nena, goza, goza, mueve tu cadera, goza, 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 que es lo que tú disfrutas, es lo que tú te llevas, goza, goza, gózale nena, goza, goza, mueve tu cadera, goza, 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 lo que tú disfrutas, es lo que tú te llevas. Aplauso que sea, legadero, bendiciones.
Deco, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gracias, Deco, gracias. Y muchas gracias a estas bailarinas. These dancers are fantastic. My God, what energy. What an energy. I mean, we need a little to do something, yes?
I know. I was
Isn't that
dancing
amazing?
back there.
Yes.
So this is so exciting. I mean, this was great. This is something that we actually the symposium is one of the events for the Spanish Chamber of Commerce that we really love personally. It's my favorite. And for those that doesn't know, my name is Angelica, and I am the chair of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Foundations, and I'm here with Marta.
Yes, my name is Marta Castillo, and I'm the chair of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana.
And today we want to thank everyone for sharing this time with us. And I mean, we have amazing women today that really teach us a lot of new things. They was great. Now I'm happy, engaged, and excited. Yeah, that's something that we need to think about every single morning. So,
yeah, well, I want to thank all the participants. Actually, I'm really, really amazed. It was a great afternoon, a truly inspiring afternoon. And I think so that we have to thank everybody in the speakers, the panelists, the moderators, and also we have to thank them for sharing with us all the valuable information, all the knowledge and insight and experience that they have. Also, we want to thank our sponsors, friends, volunteers, that they have worked and put a lot of energy on this, for this to happen. And also, and remember that last year we have, well, the year throws very disturbing visions. And as part of this wonderful women symposium, business symposium, we need to have and make honor to our theme of today, Choose to Challenge, which means that we have the role here and now that make things happen. And then we have to take the opportunity, like I was saying, that last year there was a very disturbing vision that we have for all the events of last year. But this year we have to use this as a transformation, change, and action.
And exactly, actually, these are good opportunities for all the women to come together. There is a lot of events, and there is a lot of organizations that help small businesses and women, support women. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Foundation, we do have a lot of events for women and again, for small businesses. So please follow us and participate in those events. There is nothing like engage with other small businesses, like peer learning, I think is the best thing that we all can do. And something that as a business owners, in order to go to the next level, we want to be together, we want to learn from each other. And actually there is a lot of support that and now the opportunity is through Zoom. Even that I'm not really a fan or Zoom and virtual experiences, but this help us and give us the opportunity to reach out more. There is more, sometimes there is a lot of events and other places that you might not be able to be there, but through Zoom or through virtual is a great opportunity. And also, hopefully next year we can have our event
In person.
which is
In
something that
person.
we really need. And right now, I would like to call everyone, Myra and everyone that participated here today. Blanca.
Janet.
Janet, please. And also, I would like to introduce Ana. Ana, our new director of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Foundation, too. Welcome, Ana.
Paige.
Paige, yes.
All of these wonderful people are working behind to make everything happen. And I think Myra has been working tireless too. And then one thing is that just keep in touch, because, and also remember, let's all choose to challenge.
That's true.
Goza, nena, goza, goza, nena.